Hello, everyone. Welcome to Football Unplugged with me, Satwik. In today's episode, we are going to talk about what a lot of football experts or football journalists say as the biggest disaster in the history of Indian football. Today, we're going to talk about the 1950 FIFA World Cup. Contrary to popular beliefs and what has been told to us over the ages, the real reason why India did not play the 1950 FIFA World Cup were not because of football shoes or studs, as they say. The entire story is different altogether. And all this while we've been told, यार India World Cup इसलिए नहीं खेला क्योंकि उनके पास जूते नहीं थे. I've seen these thing in GK books as well when we were growing up. But the real story of this entire scenario was completely different, right? So why was it? Why did India really did not play in the 1950 FIFA World Cup if football boots were not the reason? This is what we are going to be discussing in today's episode. So, let's rewind. Let's go back to, let's say, 1948 or 49. Okay, let's move to the 1950 World Cup altogether. The 1950 World Cup was supposed to take place in Brazil. And India and Brazil invited India to take part in the World Cup. And, for the qualifiers, it was a three-way competition between India, Burma, and as it is now called Myanmar, and the Philippines. So, one out of the three teams would have gone on to play the FIFA World Cup. But for one reason or another, both the Philippines and Burma backed out of the competition. So, India gained an automatic qualification. So, India did not necessarily qualify for the World Cup. They got an automatic qualification for the 1950 World Cup. Great news for the country, right? India just coming out of independence and, ready to go, because that was also the golden age of Indian football, as we say. So, why did we not play in the World Cup? So there are a bunch of stories, but something that we are going to discuss right now. One theory suggests is that lack of money was one of the major reasons of India not going to the FIFA World Cup. So after calculation, the AIFF sort of calculated that the entire cost of going to Brazil and playing in the FIFA World Cup would amount to 1 lakh rupees during the 1950s. It was a huge amount, and India just coming out of independence, and the sport not too popular in the country at that moment. So 1 lakh rupee was a huge ask. And but India did want to play, right? AIFF wanted India to go and play the FIFA World Cup, and India had started assembling a great team as well, and they were training. And simultaneously AIFF started looking to raise funds, and 1 lakh was the amount that India AIFF needed. So AIFF wanted to raise around 50, 60 or whatever amount that was okay, and the rest amount would obviously have been paid by the AIFF themselves. So, when AIFF went on a raising spree, they were able to raise 25,000 rupees from the Bengal Football Association. 10,000 rupees as a funding was given to them by the Mysore Football Association. And lastly, the Western Football Association, or Maharashtra Football Association, basically agreed to give the team another 15,000 rupees. So, this bit was something that was solved. India was able to raise 50,000 rupees, and, the rest of the money would have come from the AIFF, or probably AIFF would have raised money from some other sources. But contrary to this theory, money was not necessarily the reason, or let's say the only reason why India did not go and play in the FIFA World Cup. Another thing, and probably this is the more interesting and probably one of the actual reasons that India did not play or India did not go, is 1952 was the year of the Olympics. And, Olympics during those days was a much bigger tournament, and a tournament that, you know, took place at a major scale. And India being great at hockey, and India winning all these medals in hockey, so obviously the Indian government, or India generally, emphasized playing in the Olympics. So rather than choosing to go to the FIFA World Cup, the AIFF, or the Indian government, eventually decided that they were going to skip the FIFA World Cup in 1950, And it was around 10 odd days before the tournament began that India sent a pager or an electronic message to the Brazil Football Federation that India will no longer participate in the World Cup. A very sad, or a very, Indian football could have been at a completely different thing if, India would have played the then FIFA World Cup, because the Indian team during that time was one of the strongest it has ever been. Post independence, when India played their first match, it was against the French national team and the mighty French. And India missed two penalties and just conceded in the last minute. Obviously, India ended up losing the match, but they showed a great display and a great footballing brain, great footballing skills. And at that point, India was considered, the best team of Asia. And they further went on to prove this point when they beat Iran in probably the biggest match India has ever played in its entire football history, which was the 1952 Asian Games, where India won the gold medal in football, beating Iran 1-0. And that was a momentous victory. So, India was going through its golden age, the period from, let's say, 1948 till 1960, 65. India were in their golden age. And just imagine, if India would have been able to play that World Cup, it's probably, something miraculous had would have happened. Similar story happened with the Indian cricket team when they went and played in the 1983 World Cup. No one expected them to win. No one had any expectation out of the team, and just that victory of the World Cup, which was immense, ended up ended up being the start of a revolution of cricket in India. And we all can see what Indian cricket is right now and how big is Indian cricket right now. So yeah, this is this was one bit or one story that is usually a myth, or that is usually a false story that has been revolving around the Indian footballing circle for the longest time. So yes, correcting football boots or studs wasn't the reason, because the equipment rule of FIFA only came in 1953. So this myth of Indian not playing in the FIFA World Cup because of boots is a big lie, which has sort of come up from thin air. I'm not sure, but yeah, we sort of encountered what the real reason of India actually not going to the FIFA World Cup, which was actually prioritizing Olympics to the World Cup. Sad story, but yes, this was it from this episode of Football Unplugged with Satvik. I'd love to hear your feedback on the episodes, on the channel in general, and would love in some recommendations if you have any about what the next video could be. Thank you.